or about how.
Oh, sorry.
Start
again.
I sent around through an essay I wrote about Holly that I want to submit to the e-news, the Forest Park e-news. I should have sent it to you guys too. I just sent it to the tree board, but I will send you guys copies for the November issue. And I lean heavily on a research paper by Dave Stokes, who is now emeritus professor at UW Bothell, who did a very detailed study of English holly in St. Edward's State Park, which is similar to so many of our urban forests. You know, it's an open area that was once logged and has regrown and so on. And I just thought I'd read a little bit of their description of their results and their recommendations going forward. The holly in our samples, 466 known age plants, ranged in age from 1 to 46 years. Trees more than 10 years old appeared to have very low mortality rates and exhibited accelerating rates of size increase and biomass accumulation with age. Native vegetation was greatly reduced under holly canopy. Our spatial and age data indicate that holly is proliferating and spreading rapidly at two scales: contiguous primary vegetative growth, expansion of tree clumps, and long distance dispersal via seed. Spread by both mechanisms appears to be accelerating, with population and canopy area both increasing approximately exponentially, having doubling times of approximately 6 and 5 years respectively. Projecting past spread patterns forward suggests that holly has the potential to soon become a prominent species both in number and canopy extent, likely at the expense of native plant diversity and forest structure. Based on these results, we offer recommendations for holly management. So let me jump ahead to their recommendations for holly management. It's come at the end of the paper. They say the Pacific Northwest forests managed for natural ecosystem processes and native biodiversity. Control or elimination of English holly is an appropriate management goal. While widespread, holly is still at a level that is amenable to control in at least some forests, for example, St. Edward State Park. Our projections suggest that delaying action for just a few years will result in large numbers of additional holly trees and added difficulty of removal due to increasing tree size. A holly control plan should be developed and control measures undertaken while control is still a feasible management option. Large female, berry producing trees are especially important to remove. Control efforts should be concentrated first in areas most susceptible to invasion. Spatially explicit modeling of invasion risk could help identify invasion-prone areas. It's likely that a control plan will require a modification as more information about holly invasion becomes available. So that suggestion, what they did was they sampled as many holly plants as they could in St. Edward, hundreds of them. Estimated the age of each one by cutting the cross-section of the stem at the ground, counting rings, determining what the age structure was, and the diameter of spatial extent of each plant they measured, and their conclusion was exponential growth, which, if you understand just basic mathematics, that means that within each time interval, and they said 5 to 6 years, a doubling of number and extent. So in 10 years, it would be 4 times. In 20 years, it would be 8 times as much as there is now. So it's one of those things that I think, if we as a tree board want to recommend policy to the city regarding invasiveness, invasive plants that impact our trees and forest canopy, holly control is one we should emphasize, and probably, in my opinion, not only in control on city-owned properties, but making an effort to educate the public about removing it from private property as well. The state's noxious weed listing, they struggled for years to list this because the commercial growers in Washington's the biggest commercial production of holly anywhere in the country, fought it tooth and nail. And the compromise reached was that only wild holly, or what they call feral holly, would be subject to class 3 designation, and people growing it for commercial purposes or for landscaping purposes were not subject. So, technically, if you have it growing in your garden as a ornamental tree, it's not considered a noxious weed. But
Even though you can't control it.
the seeds from, if you have a female, those seeds end up everywhere. So I was telling somebody the other day. In an area. No bigger than a couple of the tabletops, I pulled 10 holly seedlings. We could go in my garden.
Yeah,
Must have been below a spot where birds were pooping or something.
We have the same experience.
I'm happy to report I've cut all the holly out of our yard, but to your point, the spring, I saw nothing because I cut it when the female was dropping berries. And the berries went everywhere and yeah, now I'm pulling holly seedlings out.
Yeah, did you poison the stem, the cut stem?
No, but I keep cutting fast.
Yeah, so that, what I do is I have a herbicide that I paint on the cut stem right after it's cut. And that's absorbed into the roots and kills the
It
plant.
is resilient, just keep on,
They keep on sprouting otherwise.
yeah,
If you keep at it, you'll.
thanks.
It seems like such a, my associate is a harmless plant, you think that's just there, it's all these great associations with it.
It harbored a yellow jacket nest, so
Yeah,
it's another.
Found out the hard
reason I hate
way.
it, Yeah,
I wonder if there's any evidence about, outside of urban areas, forests outside of urban areas, the extent of its spread.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You know, it's one of those things that it spreads at its margin, I'm sure, everywhere.
yeah,
Because birds will. Let's just assume that birds go randomly from wherever the source tree is. Eventually, some of those seeds will be extended beyond the current distribution. And then those will grow up and so on. So it will spread by seed distribution.
mhm.
Robins, of course, are the big ones that are around a female holly this time of year. Sometimes you'll see flocks of robins attacking one tree and eating the berries.
Well, we're coming back to your article a little later in the meeting, right? So we can revisit this subject.
Just to comment though, that the native sort of equivalent of an Oregon grape is every bit as invasive in my yard. It'd be natural, but it's still every bit as
Yeah,
invasive.
it has a tendency to spread as well.
Yeah,
And it can,
it's gotten established in one part of my yard and I'm pulling it out.
Think it has the same deleterious effects as that article was describing.
no, because Oregon grape is a native.
Well, it
and
is a native
it
species.
grows with the other things around here.
Yeah,
it's still
You know,
approaches
we have
full
two
on
species of
base.
Oregon grape. One gets no more than 2 feet tall, the other one can get bigger. But that's the less common one. And we were talking about this just before the meeting started. Our typical forests here, you had the conifer canopy, and then you have this ground cover stuff with Oregon grape and layout and seed fern or sword ferns and stuff like that. And very little of it. And we have 2 really bad invasive species that are adapted to that middle canopy layer. One is holly, the other is the laurel cherry. And
You do the same thing with the laurel cherry, you
Yeah.
got it and then.
it doesn't resprout quite as bad as holly does, but.
Should probably, since we're coming back to it later in the agenda, we should probably continue with the agenda.
Thanks, Dick. Thank you, Dick.
Yeah.
Let's see, we is our custom to do introductions whenever we have a visitor with us. We do tonight, so glad you're here. For your benefit, we will go around the table and introduce ourselves, and then you can introduce yourself if you would. Go ahead.
Victoria Kutas, Vice Chair of the Tree Board.
Dick Homestead, tree board.
Richard Saunders, tree board member.
Stacy Spain, tree board member.
Doug Sprugel, tree board member.
Mark Phillips, current chair of the board.
Larry Oldman, council member and liaison to the tree board.
Sam Call, I'm the urban forest planner for the city.
Elizabeth Talavera, assistant planner.
William.
Would you say your name again? a little louder?
William Ackerman.
Okay, great. Thank you for being here. You'll have an opportunity in a few minutes to make any public comments, any comments you'd like to make or anything you'd like to raise with the board. So next on our agenda is the adoption of this agenda, which we'll have a chance to see. Anything in here anybody finds terribly objectionable or problematic, or is there a motion to approve?
And so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now we do have, we have minutes from our last meeting, which we've all had a chance to look at too. Okay, any thoughts, any points on that agenda that you'd like to clarify or amend? I was wondering, Elizabeth, if you used AI to generate these minutes. I say that because of the misspelling of thorough, which may have come up in line 17, so. Oh, okay, I thought maybe it was Chat GBT was creeping in there or something. Okay, so we can correct that to THOREAU.
That's right, you probably would have got it.
Maybe it's just somebody we've missed, Henry Thoreau.
I know.
Yeah,
Could be an
yeah,
epigraph.
you're absolutely right.
I think we would have been a good one.
Anything else needs to be pointed out in the agenda? Is there a motion to approve these minutes? Sorry.
I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
Thank you. Victoria, I saw you almost seconding there.
Sure.
Seconded, okay, all approved, all in favor,
Aye.
any opposed? Thank you. Now we come to the point of public comments. I don't know, do we have anybody online that should
Well,
be,
there wouldn't be online public comment.
oh, there wouldn't be public comments online, that's right. But just for my information, is there anybody online?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Does that include, your boss?
Mark?
He is
Mark-
not, like,
Mark-
there's nobody else.
Mark's not here tonight.
It is.
He is not, there's only one participant and that is us.
William, did you have anything you'd like to
Well,
talk to the board about?
yeah, the tree canopy coverage and the enforcement of that. Like, we have rules that say if you're on 20 or R20 and R20, R15, so 20,000, 15,000 above, you'll get 58% coverage, and then like the R10, 39% above, and so on and so forth. And I walk around neighborhoods and I observe properties that are not complying with that, particularly newer developments don't really seem to be in line with that, and I guess we do have civil fines, but if no one says anything about that, they're not enforced, then
Usually not.
nothing, and that's a stick, and I don't really know what the carrots are to get people to plant. But with the city that's, building more and more single family residential by splitting lots. We also have the issue of lots having to have less and less, so if we get down to all the lots only having to have 10%. Then there's gonna be very little character of Lake Forest Park left, and with only 3% of Lake Forest Park being park. We really rely upon the individual property owners to keep the character of the city. So. I don't know, I'm just curious,
Mhm.
how can we get people to have trees in their garden?
And we usually don't in these meetings or in, the council meetings, feel that we need to kind of resolve questions or issues that people might raise with us at the time of the meeting, but we do want to hear that comment, but we can certainly take a minute or two to, if there's any thoughts that folks have regarding those comments.
Yeah, I'll just address with any new development that occurs, the development still has to reach the canopy coverage goal. Even after lots are split up, they have to reach that goal, whether it's from replanting, from the removals. And there's all the replanting within the code and the restrictions, they have to pick native species from the general tree list. But with a lot of new developments occurring right now, then they might be smaller caliber trees. I have to give them some time to grow a little bit, but there's no new development that occurs without reaching the canopy coverage goal.
Targeting reaching.
And they need to reach it within 30 years, is that correct? So the plantings need to be on the 30-year time horizon to get back to the canopy.
Yeah, the maturity of the tree.
Yes, they say the two restrictions for replanting are deciduous trees have to be 2 inches caliper. And then conifers have to be 6 feet tall. So.
Yeah, good, so that may be what you're seeing, William, is in brand new developments, they don't have that coverage yet, but. Like, Victoria said, in 30 years, and it's the same for a replacement tree, isn't that right? Like if you take down a tree and you get a permit to take down a tree, you're supposed to replant. But the replanting is that tree then keeps you to the canopy, your canopy goal for your lot, within 30 years.
And I think it should also be pointed out that those numbers you're alluding to for various sizes of lots are goals.
It
And
does mention the goal is not mandated.
so if you have a property that is not, that is under the goal for that area, you're not in violation of anything in particular. The code comes into play at the time that you make changes to your lot. If you redevelop a lot, if you add to the lot, or if you remove trees from the lot, then you're liable to the requirements that would move you towards what is the ideal goal that the code lays out for particular sizes of lots. So just because a property isn't meeting that level of canopy at the moment does not mean that it's in violation.
I can also provide a bit of perspective. You mentioned lot splitting, and so the council adopted middle housing regulations a few months ago. And if people are putting duplexes on lots or they're doing 0 lot line splitting, it doesn't remove all the other requirements in terms of tree canopy or impervious area. And so even if you are building an extra house, an extra unit on or an ADU, you still have to maintain an appropriate level of other requirements. Now, in terms of enforcement, I'll leave that as a question to staff, but in terms of what the code says, that lot splitting isn't a loophole around it, there's still all the other regulations.
Because I did read, it's like, if you have a lot and you split it, the overall lot the original lot has to comply, but subdivisions within that don't necessarily.
And I suppose you could have, like, if your goal is 58%, one half might only be 38%, but if the other half is 90%, then overall, you're still meeting for the overall picture. So on average, you're still maintaining the canopy.
Okay, well, thank you for those comments, and it always helpful to refresh our minds on some of those things too. And thank you for coming tonight.
Hey, Mark, could I just
speaking with us? Please, Richard.
All that said, we're always looking to improve the tree ordinance, right, and tree preservation. So please don't take our response as it's solved, it's all good. And we do have openings on the tree board, so.
Yeah, you see the risk you take when you cut the line.
One more follow-up comment.
Good.
I don't think we answered the enforcement question. Did staff want to address that?
With, like I said,
Because it's not all new, like there are properties that exist, there's literally one sad tree on the property, this can't possibly be meeting what it's supposed to.
I understand. I would say with any, we can perform a canopy coverage analysis whenever there's a tree removal or the development occurring. And during that time, if they don't reach it, there's not going to be an approval for this development if they don't have a plan in set motion to replace the canopy coverage that's lost or reach the current canopy coverage goal that we need. There's also sections within the code that discuss code enforcement for those people who cut down trees without a permit. And that can all be found in the code. We have to use a specific scale and not scale. What's the word? Basically to determine how much a tree is worth.
Right.
Yeah, as a measurement.
Yeah.
Just a measurement. We have one specific measurement we use through the ISA arborists. And we'll use that. And that can go up. There's some sorry, I'm blanking tonight. But
It's a long day.
yeah. No, there's some deviations with it depending on how healthy the tree is. So you basically use the measurement to the size versus how healthy it is and produce a number. And that's how we get to the code enforcement.
The value of the tree, that might be the body of the fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It sounds like you also need for cause, William, so they're not gonna go around and look at the different lots and say. You are violating the tree code. It's you sort of have to wait until they wanna do something on their property before it triggers a review by the city. To either grant the permit or not grant the permit, and then they have cause to sort of review the canopy coverage, and then they can enforce the plan. But, yeah, other than cutting trees down without a permit, there's not anything else that triggers a review by the staff, it sounds like.
Or failing to,
Reach the,
replacement trees that don't survive after
Sure.
5 years, could I think be also a penalty situation.
correct.
And I think the other thing is if somebody were, you, for example, were to report, this lot is nowhere close to, has not been planted as it should have been. I suspect somebody could go out and say, yeah, they didn't, they said they were gonna plant 8 trees, they planted 1. That would presumably be trigger enforcement, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's part of my
Yeah.
job is inspecting those properties that do say replants.
Yeah.
And then continuing with like a 5-year check and going.
But you can't be expected to look at every lot in the city, but if somebody says this lot's out of compliance, and just one more thing to point out, if you have a lot, say with 10% cover. And you cut 1 tree down, the code does not say you have to bring it up to 20% cover, to 30% cover. It just says. You really need to make sure you get back to 10% cover,
Replace what was taken out.
but if replacement was taken out, but you don't have to bring it up to the code, to the goal. Just because you made 1 change in your yard. Say that because my lot is 10 or 15% over code. So.
All right, well, we could probably talk about this for another half hour, but we'll move on. Yes, thank you again. Well, we've come to reports and announcements. Does anybody have any reports or announcements? Sometimes there's council news that comes up in this context,
Not in the last 3 weeks since our last meeting now.
in a short interval. Okay, very good.
Oh.
Yes,
It's kind of not my last meeting, but moving forward, down to engage full admin and in-person duties. I'll still be here, I'll still be around, but more of a what's the word? I'm kind of blanking out. Back,
Handed off the reins to the Zoom.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but I'll still be here, still available, email, I'll be here at City Hall.
so who will be putting out our agenda in the future? It will be Sam doing that.
Taking care of everything.
Wonderful, okay, excellent, and I suppose that means you'll be taking notes.
Doing it now.
And part of that,
On the
you'll put
website,
it
it
in
says
DAI.
contact you if you want to apply to the tree board.
Yeah.
Is that still accurate?
No, so I'll be making like edits to the website and stuff, but it'll go out to Sam now.
Okay,
I mean, it'll go.
Then I also have an announcement, a pretty good one, cool. Lake Forest Park is now an evergreen community. So it's this new program that the KCD is put on. That Drew, the previous urban forest planner, applied for. And we received the approval, and now we have some signs to put up throughout the community.
wow,
What was
that's
the term
great.
again, Sam?
The evergreen communities.
It's all of the Tree City.
Like the last gift from Drew.
is that a King County program or wider than King County?
I believe it's a DNR. So
Okay.
Washington.
So statewide.
Is that one that we have to do anything to maintain? I know the Tree City one, we have to, like, we're required to do the Arbor Day event
Yeah.
and some other things. Does this one have any strings attached?
I'm assuming so. Because I didn't apply for this, I did a
Fair.
little bit of research on it, and I can just read for you. It just says the Evergreen Community Recognition Program is the new statewide initiative to recognize and celebrate Washington's incorporated municipalities, counties, and tribes for their commitment made to urban and community forestry. And basically, there's 2 tiers between the 2 of them. I don't know which one we are. I'll be real,
We'll just assume it's the best.
but there are some requirements for them.
I have this, so this was created 4 years ago by the state, so it's a new program. The requirements for either tier are that you have to have a tree board, check. Have a tree ordinance, which we do, spend at least $2 per capita on urban forest. Observe Arbor Day, have a tree inventory, and then that gets you to tier 1. To be on tier 2, you have to have an urban forest management plan. Which we do, we're in the process, we're gonna be updating it, but we do have the one previously, so I believe we have everything to be a tier 2 city.
I wonder how we spend $28,000 per year of trees. Sam's salary, or
You do make money, things that you're not.
have an arborist.
And then in terms of what we have to do each year, we have to, I guess staff have to attend a 90-minute goal setting meeting each year and a 60-minute mid-year check-in. And the community has to have one activity related to the goal. So whether that's having an Arbor Day, I meant like an Arbor Day event, or
Green Fair.
develop up a green fair, or updating the urban forest management plan, or so whatever the goal is for the city, are we achieving that?
Say again, Larry, who's involved in this planning session you mentioned?
It would
Goal
be
setting
DNR staff and city staff.
and city staff, okay, which may or may not include tree board members, big who wanted to attend.
And it looks like their first round of applications was last December, so it's a very new program.
Oh, okay, and we're already in.
Yeah.
Wow,
Are there numbers, like how many what
kind of company are we?
yeah, I'm just curious how many have received this recognition out of how many total?
You probably have to apply to be recognized, and so it'll be over the next few years, more and more communities will probably apply.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess.
I was just
If
curious.
It's on the wall.
Yeah. So what I know is it's Renton and us currently.
Okay.
So there may be others, but during the conference that we were at, those 2 cities were recognized.
Wow.
Trendsetters.
Great,
So I think having to have an inventory is intriguing, because of course we don't have an inventory of trees on city land. Which is what most cities will do. They'll say, oh, we have a tree map of our city. We don't have that. We have the stuff on the private land, which probably very few people have. I guess if they just say you have to have an inventory, you can have any kind.
Yeah, it actually just says partial tree inventory.
Oh.
So I'd say we are well above and beyond that.
Yes, we have.
okay, well, good news, thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to add that to our work plan too, like seriously, to, make sure that we stay compliant.
Keep that in mind, it's coming up on the agenda.
If one of our goals is to reduce the amount of holly with some of the stuff that the stewardship council does count.
Stewardship Foundation.
Just Stewardship Foundation, yeah, they do a whole lot of field work that I've seen. And presumably some of that will
I don't know,
be the kind of thing they're looking at. Anyway, if we find ourselves short on things some year, you should see if a holiday for the stewardship council would count.
yeah. All right, gonna turn to old business. That's okay. We have 3 items under old business, and I'd like to start with number C first, which is KCD and SFI grant updates, which I know Sam has some information for us on.
Yes, so the SFI, Mark and I are currently working on combining the scope of work and all the red line rough draft to provide to Mike Martini, who is the SFI director, essentially, who's helping us run. So that's where we're at. It hasn't been completed yet, working on it. We'll get it to him shortly, and then we can get it back to, I believe, Mayor. So.
And from a council perspective, so the November 13th meeting is full. The November 27th meeting is actually Thanksgiving, so no meeting then. So our last regular meeting of the year is Thursday, December 11th. So I think that the goal is to have that ready for the December 11th council meeting?
I would believe so.
And I wonder, we have any reason to think that wouldn't be a problem for Mr. Martini? I wonder.
I don't think so. I think we'll be.
Okay. So, William, this is a grant that we've applied for, that will help us do an overall analysis of how we're managing our urban forest and Lake Forest Park to identify what we're doing well, what we're not doing well, where we can improve, and to help us, develop, programs that will address those deficiencies. And it's through the, US Forest Service is where the money originates, about $70,000 for us for that project.
SFI is Sustainable Forest or Sustainable Forestry Initiative.
Yep, Sustainable Forest Initiative.
Okay,
Since we tend to use acronyms a lot here.
good news.
Yes.
What about, anything on KCD, the King Conservation District? I know you sent me a note that had a little bit of information in it, I think, about,
Yeah, currently waiting to coordinate with IT because he has all the passwords for the Esri account that has all the shape files that we use within city. And I've not done that yet. So
okay, so we need to give him a call and shake him up a little bit, or?
I think so. No, I'm hoping it'll happen soon by whenever he gets back from vacation.
Okay, so that's that's the data we need in order to meet those, to get the information we wanted on wetlands.
Correct.
And on, our
Parcels.
land use, our parcel level and our land use zones. Yeah. Okay,
And our zoning.
and I don't think there's any real urgency or time requirements for doing that. I think it's an ongoing program. I mean, it'd be good to do that, as soon as we can figure it out.
Yeah. No, I was able to talk to the previous urban forest planner and go through, just kind of figure out where all these shape files are located and any information. So,
Okay, but it does look like we got, the information is there.
yes.
We just have to work with, folks in staff folks to figure that out, how to access it. Great, thank you.
And is there anything else that KCD folks need from us at this point? Last I recall, we were going back and forth, we needed to submit to them so that they could get things approved by their board, so that they could send it back to us to get approved by council or mayor. Did all of that already sort itself out?
Well, that's a good question. Their board did approve it. I imagine there's an authorization process on our end too.
On the council end, the council doesn't have to do that because it's such a small amount, it'll
Oh,
just go
yeah.
directly to the mayor.
Okay,
Oh, that's right. I don't have an update on that, so.
Okay.
I can talk to Mark and see if that's.
Does you think the mayor has an idea that this is an item?
I've mentioned it to the mayor, so he's aware, it's a matter of making sure that we have a finalized contract to present to him.
I think there was discussion last time, Mark said there's some other projects potentially in the works for some of the KCD dollars, so we would need to make a case to the mayor about why this one is one that should find.
Yeah.
On point with that, my understanding is, so that's the project involving rain gardens or creek watershed maintenance. There's enough in the KCD pot for both.
Amazing.
I mean, especially with this project is only about what, $4,500.
Yes.
And we have, I think, over 100,000 in the KCD pot, so this will be a pretty minor slice of the pie.
Always nice, we don't have to arm wrestle for cash.
Yeah. It took a while to build up that fund, though, our jurisdictional account, it'll take a while to replenish it, but I'm sure the watershed activity is worthwhile, the rain garden activity. So. And benefits our urban forest, I'm sure. Anything else under KCD and SFI grants? Let's see, maybe before we go to the work plan, let's talk about a recruitment. That's another point on our old business. We talked about that at our last meeting and we had some ideas. We were gonna pursue.
I sent two communications to two friends to consider joining tree board.
Okay, great.
Haven't heard back yet.
Thus far, Larry's killing it.
What's that?
I believe it was Larry who connected two folks, the two community
Oh,
members
yeah.
who met.
Of which one of which has submitted an application.
Oh,
So that'll be going through the process, and so interview with the mayor and then going to council for appointment.
Has this person been to one of our board meetings? We've had a few over the last.
Yeah, no, he hasn't, and I exchanged emails with him today and he was not able to make it tonight. But I did mention to him that
in lieu of attending, I mean, they could all at least watch the recording, they get a sense of what.
So you can all wave to
Well-
Kyle if Kyle's watching us later.
I suppose it could do that, yeah. I don't know what it says. I think what it says is attend meetings, several meetings, so the prospective tree board member has a better idea what he's getting into.
What
I
is-
definitely did not attend a meeting before during the board.
You did not?
Very much not.
Okay, point of order, point of order.
Get my vice chairship revoked.
We have to take some action, yeah.
Well, we have these ideals we try to uphold, but any other prospects on the horizon? Anybody
Can
else?
you tell us anything about this person who is applying and they will,
Kyle?
what is their background?
Well, he asked whether I had seen his application. And I suppose there's no reason why we couldn't share that application if it's available. Do you have any information on that, Larry? If you've seen it or?
So when it goes to council, it's redacted, so any address or phone numbers are
Mhm.
redacted.
Mhm.
So I would, and then at that point, it's public record.
I think we would like to see it before it gets to the point of being before the council for approval.
We don't have approval or denial permission for board members, do we?
No, we don't. I mean, not in an absolute sense,
No.
but we can certainly buy it. And we've seen that,
Given some information about prospective board members.
we've seen our ideas get reflected, I think, in the process in the past. It's an appointment by the mayor on
Yeah,
record.
I'm just curious, what kind of expertise is he going to bring, if anything?
Yeah.
Is he a concerned citizen, or is he a forest ecologist, or
Yeah.
a former city council member, or what?
And I
Or
mean,
disgruntled
there-
community resident.
Yeah.
but I would just say that there is a process, so they'll meet with the mayor and the mayor can ask questions. And then when they'll be interviewed by the council, and as you're aware, it's not a grueling interview. But it is an opportunity for them to introduce themselves and share why they're applying for the tree board, what sort of interests they have or expertise. And for council to ask, like, what are your priorities? So I think I don't think it would be necessary for them to sort of come to the tree board for any sort of formal interview.
No.
But I mean, there might be a way we could talk to staff about sharing their redacted application with you.
I'm just curious, totally, because,
Sure, but we all are, and I think we have a right to be curious, frankly.
yeah,
Well,
well,
on the other side of this, we have had. Over the last couple of years, a handful of people who have come to meetings as prospective board members who then never. They're followed through a lot.
Maybe it's not that come to me,
right. That was when you were chair, right?
No, it's a good idea, because then you
The
get
lady
an
from-
idea of what it.
Yeah, so
business is.
Yeah, I
would
think
they
so.
would want.
And I don't know, would one of you be able to take on the task of seeing if we can locate that application? Or I'm happy to proceed.
For the future?
For this particular applicant, it was anybody who has actually submitted an application. I think we only have one in this case.
Well, I haven't seen it.
You've seen it.
I haven't.
You haven't seen it yet,
No.
okay. Well,
They get sent to the city clerk, Matt, so all the applications go directly to Matt and
Yeah.
Jessica, the deputy city clerk.
would you check with him? And see if he could share it with, at least with me
I
and.
don't know if you- But I can ask.
Well, if we could at least get contact information and say Mark could send an invitation to them to come to the December meeting.
We already have their contact information and next to them.
You have been in touch with them?
I did invite him to the December meeting.
There was a second person that Larry connected us with as well, who said they weren't going to apply because this person was applying and there's only one open seat. So I was planning I haven't gotten around to it. I was gonna write back and let them know that presumably we will have another seat opening soon.
And
I
we
did
can
put there.
add,
Yes, we can add alternate.
it also says a minimum of 7.
It says a minimum.
It doesn't
Yeah.
say a maximum of 7, so we can,
I would also point out that you automatically have 2 alternate spots, so you can have up to not 7 voting members, 2 non-voting members. So you might mention that,
Potential full.
you might mention that their alternate spots are available.
And
and. So you're not gonna sign it for another,
February, I think is the last month. I think.
so we'll have another spot very quickly. We'll have another spot before any names can work through the bureaucracy, actually.
And that's, so seeing what the kind of interest and background of folks is would be nice. I would love more visibility. It seems like it's all been kind of a mystery as to like people, I've heard from a number of people like, yeah, I applied like months ago and never heard anything. So like, if it's possible for us to get any more visibility on, like, where are those going and who is following up and where are they in the process? That would be awesome.
Or perhaps something that we could get like summary information from that about how many people have applied and where are they, have their applications been reviewed, have interviews been scheduled? At least, you know, without necessarily revealing personal information, just to kind of get broad counts.
That'd be great.
Because we've been trying to fill spots for a while and we failed miserably.
I've talked to 3 people, actually. Some of you, we all remember John Brew, who was attended many of our meetings.
Trying to poach from stewardship.
Yeah, he's kind of tied up in some project right now. I was at a work party with him the other day and he said that things are gonna loosen up for him after the first of the year. So he may be a real candidate because I know
Good.
he was quite interested at one point and I think still is.
I had talked with him a year or two ago and he just said that he was too committed and all that.
And I did talk to 2 other folks who expressed some degree of interest and I may follow up with them. Anything else on recruitment?
One thing, Mark.
Yeah.
We also talked last time about having just a simple FAQ or one sheet of paper that we could give to somebody, like when we were at an event, you know, to say, oh, you're a tree board, here's, you know, some basic information, like what does tree board do? What's the commitment?
We have a version of that in this enabling box that goes over like what are the responsibilities of the tree board and the QR code for applying and the learning more. I also did a brief draft last time we talked about having an interest sheet that people could like put down their contact info and then we can follow up proactively with them and say like, have you connected them? Have you applied? Have you applied? So I put together a brief draft of that.
So when we meet people at different events, we could actually gather a little bit of information that would help us follow up.
Yep.
It'd be great to see a copy of that QR code.
Yeah, I think it goes to the appropriate point on our website that describes the treatment.
No, but I mean the sheet, just to
Oh, okay.
review.
Yeah, right now for the like interest list, I've got a draft that just has. This great oval sign up sheet, that's got a brief description of what the tree board is. Group of citizen volunteers passionate about our local urban forest. The tree board does community outreach education and advises the city on tree policy and hosts annual Arbor Day event. And then asks them to fill out their name, email address, and then right now I have a field for, do you have professional expertise in the field? I wasn't sure who wanted to capture something there.
I would just update it to say, do you have any interesting expertise in the field rather than professional?
Yeah.
So as we don't,
Which relevant expertise.
yeah, relevant.
Yeah.
interest, yeah,
We probably don't want to recreate the application.
relevant.
Yeah.
Not required, but
Yeah,
maybe
Yeah.
asterisk not required.
yeah.
Let's scare people away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I
Well, there is-
think that people often know what expertise is relevant, right? I mean, I think Victoria's a great example. She's done some really great stuff with the outreach and so on. Without
Yeah.
necessarily having a background on with trees and plants and forests and stuff. And Doug has a totally different sort of background and it's.
The problem is, the problem is you're retiring this year and you're retiring next year. People who actually had professional expertise on trees are down to 0. And it was 4 when I joined the board. It was you and me and Tim Hahn and Gordon.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's,
Yeah, the whole existence of the tree board, there have been, you know, academic
Yeah.
tree people as members on that, and that's always been
Professional
good.
arborists.
Yeah, that's right, and so that's a value to hold in looking, but you know, we count on, I think, on Sam for continuity in that regard, you know.
Yeah, I think at any time that, I mean, I think it's preferable, right? You want tree expertise, but I think just being on different commissions, I think they do change, you know.
You do.
And they have their pluses with different skill sets.
Should we talk about that sheet, Victoria, at the next meeting? You want to share it with us then? Maybe something to look at.
I think there's language in the municipal code saying you can be on the tree board if you have and I don't know what the wording is, and Larry usually knows these things pretty quickly. You can be on the tree board even if you don't live in Lake Forest Park, if you have
Business.
Specific,
something special to offer to the board, but there's language in the thing, and you might at least look at that language and see if that fit into your thing.
Yeah,
Particularly if they happen to be from outside Lake Forest Park.
we still have a ton of physical copies printed of the like info sheet page with the QR code. I can certainly update that if we want, it's just a matter of, we want to print
Yeah.
more when we already have a bunch of them.
Oh, right.
Maybe just to
And
see
then for those like
Save
sign
the
up
tree.
sheet,
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
make that whatever we want.
Should save the
Well,
trees.
Yeah,
It would probably be good for all of us to refresh our memory about that.
yeah, I guess that
That
would
Yeah,
would be,
I can send both around.
just to see.
okay. Really cool.
Yeah.
Great. Are we ready to move on?
Uh,
The next topic is the 2025 work plan, which we started to take a look at last.
So like, you want me to read the language that you were?
Sure, sure, go ahead.
Well,
I know it takes.
You're usually so fast at that.
up to 2 members who do not reside or own property in the city, but have training or expertise in environmental sciences, forestry, etc. So yeah, if they can demonstrate that they have professional skills, they can still qualify to serve on the board.
Maybe we should recruit Drew back to the board as a member.
Tried to subtly hint at that before she left us.
Just kidding, Sam.
I think she's already serving on the Seattle equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, thanks, Larry. Okay, the work plan. But I don't think we want, well, what do you say about the work plan? I mean, we started to take a look at it then. I guess it's good for us to have ideas like. And essentially, when is it? I think in about February, where we're gonna be wanting to submit 2026 work plan. And so this is a good conversation to be having, to be developing that, but. So I'm wondering things is like there any items have come to mind that would be new items on the work plan? That's one thing I'm wondering about. And I think would be
For next year.
Yeah, onto our next work plan.
I mean, it's what Sam was just talking about with Evergreen,
Oh, yeah,
there's new requirements there. So I guess and that might just fall under the category of maintaining, make sure we'll have to go through the activities required to maintain our
and what's the name of the program again? Some Evergreen
communities.
Community. Okay, so yeah, so like maintaining any requirements that are associated with our membership in that organization, our designation.
That go under tree planting and maintenance events, not exactly event, but
What's that?
it's gotta go under one of these categories.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can put that.
We may have multiple, depending on what the requirements are.
Well, it's probably related to the Arbor Day activity. Well, that's hosting an Arbor Day event.
What about adding something on grant exploration? Making sure we're up to date on all of the available grants that we could apply for. I mean, that sort of happens proactively with our urban forest planner. But maybe we keep that top of mind.
Yeah. Yeah, like Tracy, Councilmember Furatani mentioned that there's a grant through a KCD grant program. Maybe you're aware of it, Sam. I mean, they have a grant program in addition to the jurisdictional fund program that we have.
Yeah, I'd say there's still one in progress from 2019 with Lake Forest Park within that. Urban Forest Health Plan. That's what they call it. And that hasn't been completed yet, but there is something that we know about and are brainstorming ideas for. Nothing really
Is it
to,
revegetation along Perkins Way?
it's
Is that one?
private properties along McKellar Creek,
Yeah,
and I believe it's like invasive control.
you know, I got a feeling that that's kind of, my sense is that that's kind of off track. Or it's, I don't know, it's not being, with changes in arborists and time required to kind of get on top of it. I think we ought to figure out what's going on there and is it a viable project for us in the future and what does it take to, to make it work? because I did hear, I did understand that there were some homeowners that had decided they didn't want to participate in it. And that may have made the number much lower than what was originally looked like an attractive project.
Yeah, I can say that the program itself isn't run and like organized through city staff. It is all pushed and KCD coordinates all aspects of that.
Mhm.
That's how they do the urban forest health plans. In March, we have to submit, the way these work is 3 cities get selected and 3 projects usually get selected. That's kind of how much money is usually up for these. And you fill out I'm interested, an interest letter with your project name, and then from there. They'll post it and see if they want to do this one. They usually focus on lower income areas, projects like that. So. But it is on our radar again already, and we've.
Well, the connection that Councilmember Furtani made was with the removal of those black locusts in 5 Acre Woods, you know, a very specific finite project that might mobilize some funds to do it the way, you know, it's not a volunteer project. Yeah, no. So I
Expensive and not terribly fun.
Yeah, that's already been, Corey and I within city staff have already been discussing that.
have you, okay, great, great. And that's just all coming out of your thoughts, Stacy, in terms of
Yeah.
you know, a good question comes up, though. I mean, I think city staff has got a lot on their plates, and to take that on, how would we structure it? Is it something that we could figure out? One of us could become a tree and forest grant, you know, guru.
Yeah. What's available? Are we taking advantage of everything we can?
Yeah, yeah.
That's really the
I
question.
think if we wanted that to work, I would think one of us would take it on.
If I may, I have a thought on that.
Yeah.
So the city, the council approved a budget proviso where we're currently collecting money to hire a climate manager.
Right.
And my understanding is a part of the climate manager's workload would be to apply for grants that are climate related. And I would imagine trees are very much connected into that, so that could be something that's under the purview of a future climate manager.
Okay, that's good.
I think about the tree, there could be somebody from the tree board working with the climate manager or Sam. To keep up with these things. I don't really think any of us are anywhere near as good or have the connections to find out about the grants the way you do. The way you and Mark do, I guess.
You say there's,
I mean, it's, you know, you're just on all the mailing lists because you're who you are.
the mailing list, the in-person conferences are
Yeah,
constantly, you know, bringing up new grant and ideas for us.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. If one of us wanted to work with you on that
yeah.
to help, that would be fine, but
Yeah, there's sources.
you're far more qualified to do it than we are. And I assume the new climate person will be too. I'm not saying it's not an important thing to do, they're so much better than we are.
Well, I would say they have the information, they have the contacts, and could certainly provide critical information for somebody who has the time, opportunity to really delve into those and try to sort them out, and which may not be something that, you know, Sam has opportunity to do, or this new person. Be interesting to see how that works out. Anyway, that's to be determined, I guess, what kind of role the board would play in that, but that's a good idea. Any other thoughts?
But did you want to, I thought what we were doing last month was seeing which of these things we're doing so far.
Yeah.
We seem to be sort of
We kind of went
way
through
over
it,
into what we want to do next year. Maybe we should say next year till next year.
well, next year's, yeah,
Well, next year is only one meeting away, you're right.
were there other things you wanted to bring up, Doug, in terms of?
No,
because
no, I'm
I
just
think
saying.
we kind of went through the whole scope of them
I
and
thought
kind
we
of
did, yeah.
emphasized.
Yeah, I wasn't sure why it was on the agenda this time, actually.
Yeah, I know, I was a little surprised too, but it does make sense. But you know, there are stuff here we should continue to push ourselves on.
Okay, I should look at it every month, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, here's my little short list. Well, I already mentioned the possible KCD connection to the Black Locust Grove. I'm remiss. One of our items is to develop content to improve public outreach, especially in one of the audiences is realtors. I've had this standing invitation from the Windermere company over there to address, to talk to their realtors about our tree ordinance. And I just haven't had the opportunity to do it, but I can, and I could, be in touch with you about that, but I think it's just a matter of going through the code and trying to create a fairly readable 2-page summary of high points of the code that these people would, and realtors are a key audience that we've talked about many times. We'd like them to be sure they understand the main points of our tree code as they're selling houses to new people. So that was one thing. It's just, I guess it's kind of my little to-do list, but when are we going to be ready for an article on tree walks?
Well, I got the
Dick?
Holly,
What do you think?
essay finally.
Yes, I know,
I'm only about 8 months behind on that, so. The tree walks are.
and that's great. You think we can get it before February?
Yes, so
I don't know what it takes. Is it take?
Let's put it another way.
it just takes me sitting down and doing it. So I have the photos and the updated text for the tree walk over here and
Yeah,
whole part of town.
people are so interested in that. Because I've been always
People
curious.
actually download them and use them. I'd be
Well,
curious to know that.
Yeah, it would be good to know, and I don't know if there's any way to.
Well,
track
whenever we
that.
talk about it, people are always excited about it.
Yeah,
It's good.
and the old paper copy always disappears. We usually
Fly
have,
off the table.
we usually have a few copies when we meet, for, public events, and they get taken. You've probably seen that, the tree walks to Lake Forest Park. So there's an online version of that, that's updated and with photos. So one of them needs to be finished.
Two of them.
Two of them still need to be
Yeah,
finished.
so there are 4 walks.
Yeah.
And they were just in a little black and white booklet, just text only. So I started taking them one at a time, updating the text on them, so they're about 20 years old. And taking photos, so that, and putting them in a PDF that you could download on a phone or something, walk around the route. And see a picture of the tree and read about what it is as you go around. So I've done 2 of them, I got the photos for a 3rd one, and 4th one, I haven't started on it.
It's such a great thing, I think, and to be able to kind of take that to the public, it would be a wonderful thing to be able to do. I guess the last thing on my mind in terms of thinking about this is one of our items is the community forest management plan. We started to look at that a couple of months ago and think about looking at what other cities have in terms of their community forest plans. And looking at the one that we have now, which is 15 years old, needs to be updated. So the whole SFI strategy, I think, and that grant is kind of the heart of a community forest management plan. How we manage the forest, what we're doing well, what we're not doing well, what our program for improvement would look like. But it does seem to me that that's probably a year down the road. If we are able to follow through that. So I guess in my mind, I'm wondering, is there stuff we could be doing now?
Yeah.
Other pieces of that community forest management plan that we don't need, that'll be in addition to that. And I wonder if anybody has any thoughts about that.
As far as updating the plan itself or just anything around.
Pieces that we're pretty sure that we know would have a place in that plan. Like in my mind, one is a history of our canopy analysis. I think there's a piece there of, and maybe it overlaps into a history of tree code in Lake Forest Park. The first tree code was written in 1999. And then it was updated in 2010, I think, something along those lines. But then it pretty quickly gets into, I don't know what the category is. It's like things the city is doing to understand its urban forest.
I think that's what we're paying somebody $70,000 to tell us, though.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm a little disinclined to spend time on it when we're gonna pay somebody to do a great deal of that.
So.
that
the
is a part of
current-
it. Yep.
The current one is very much a like snapshot in time report from the end of a project that was done.
Yep.
The community forest.
Yes, the SFI work will give us context for a bunch of the pieces that need to go in there, but they are not going to rewrite us a plan.
No.
So if we want to be working on something, I would say we can start looking at like, what does a scaffolding of what kinds of things we want to put in there look
Yeah.
like? Because having read through our current one, I would not recommend that we go in and just update the sections in it.
Yeah.
I would recommend that we start fresh. So even like if we want to be making traction on it, I would recommend that we look at other ones, see what other people included in them. Get ourselves an outline of what type of information, and I'm sure there will be pieces in there like history. Pieces that are not going to come from the SFI work. That we could start working on updating and drafting
Yeah.
if we wanted to.
Doug's right, part of the scope of work is to review those key documents in the city's past that touch on community forests. And maybe that does fall into the category. I just think there's people like you, actually, I was thinking of, who really got a good grasp of what those events have been over the years. The tree inventory process that we undertook, and the different canopy analyses, the two of them, you know. But anyway,
I
that's,
would presume that the work they're gonna do though in looking at those historic documents is not going to be producing a summary for us of what we have done that would go in this kind of report. It's going to be giving us a benchmark of, you've done some good things, here's the other things that weren't meant.
yeah,
You do
Well,
read that.
yeah.
That's my assumption.
I presume it's gonna say something like there was a canopy analysis done in 2010. 2012, I think, about the time that Urban Forest Task Force was finishing its work. And that's where the 43% canopy coverage came from, I believe. And the process that was used in that. I mean, so that's a benchmark. It's not a big, you know, it's kind of a milepost in a sense. And then subsequent work that was done in 2017 or then other mileposts.
Yeah.
So,
Dates are always tricky because the data are collected and then 3 years later, the report comes out.
yeah,
They're trying to remember the dates.
Yeah.
I always remember the wrong one.
Mark,
yes, please, Richard.
so, Victoria, thanks for the reminder about because I had it in my mind that the SFI work was going to give us an updated plan, but it's not. All right, yeah.
Yeah,
So then I guess, you know, I'd like to hear from staff, because I know we can work on stuff and it can just create more work for staff, and
yeah.
we don't want that to happen. So if you could think, Sam, if there's something we can work on that would be useful to you, that would be, you know, I don't know, background or some research, like looking at other plans that are out there. I mean, that's pretty easy now with AI to look at other, you know, do research on other community forest management plans. So if you could just give some, I mean, that would be my request, would be staff give some thought, give us a little direction, so that we're not doing something that we're doing something that's productive, but not doing something that's gonna cost them work or be throwaway or something.
I can definitely think about some things, generate some ideas.
We share with you that we did some previous work, like I said, a few months ago, where we kind of played around a little bit with the outline of based on what we saw at Shoreline and what we saw at least one other city that we looked at,
Kirkland and
Kirkland maybe. So there is some stuff floating around.
Oh, Bainbridge Island, I think.
Yeah, that's right, Bainbridge Island. Well, so how would you say, where are we with our work plan? Just in your sense of this, it seems to me that, well, I don't know, that a lot of this is not gonna change. As we move forward into the next year, some of them are pretty generic categories and they're gonna follow forward, but I think. A couple ideas that were mentioned tonight probably, you know, deserve to be considered in terms of being added to our comprehensive work plan.
It feels like the majority of them are ones that are ongoing work and not necessarily like check off, it's done kind of work. And the majority of them are things that I feel like we've done some amount of work on this year. Made some progress.
Does this work plan need to be on our agenda for our next meeting? Is there anything new that we would take up at the next meeting? I mean, if we're looking at a February date for having a new plan in place, what would be the new thing that we could do with it at the next meeting, I wonder?
I assume not our December meeting, but at our January meeting, we should be discussing it 26, where we drafting it.
Yeah, so for me, it would be, I mean, the kind of standard process of plan review is you look at what you're taking forward in the next year, And then identifying identifying what's important to take through the next year, you know, so that could be done in our January.
Okay, maybe that's something, make a note that'll be on our January meeting, and that's pretty much finalizing a plan at that point, or getting it into pretty near final shape. We might do a final.
Anything new we add though.
Right.
See what we want to take forward and what new we want to add.
Right. And then it's February, probably finalized.
You know, but when I look at it, the only thing I see that really drops off is the very last item where we worked on climate policy. That document is done. We had our input into that.
Hopefully by February, we will check off the tree walks one as well.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Mark,
Oh,
for that.
Dick, wouldn't that be great?
Well, we also have the assessment results of the tree inventory study. Make recommendation to council, which we have done. That means we haven't done them, but it doesn't really need to be in our work plan for next year.
Yes,
Hopefully it'll be done this year.
the tree boards part of that has been
It's been
completed.
done, so we
Yeah.
can take that one off. And it
Okay.
was in bold too, so.
We will come back to this then in January, but in the meantime, you know, keep it by your bed at night and before you go to sleep, just kind of look at it. Think about it. Okay, well, thank you. Let's move on. We into new business. We have Arbor Day, we got Water District event recap and the Holly article that Dick has shared with us. Where are we on Arbor Day? I know last we talked about it, I think we were thinking of trees.
Correct.
That's a big thing to think about.
That's right.
I wrote to the base with DNR to ask about tree availability and they sent me back details this week. I can forward to everyone the list of current availability, their recommendation. I know nothing about any of this, so it's mostly gibberish to me what the different options are. Their recommendation was the P+0 seedlings. I assume that means something to people who know things about trees.
Is a recommendation?
P+0 seedlings like Doug fir or shore pine. They said they're generally nice for giveaways. They are a tiny little tree. Their roots are contained in a 6-inch soil plug. And they sent the PDF of all the different types that they currently have in stock. If we're looking at the ones they recommended.
What were the ones they recommended? What's the species they recommended?
They recommended the Doug fir or shore pine.
Doug fir is not a tiny little tree.
The
Seedless.
Yeah.
I mean, short pine is a tiny-
6-inch long, so it'd be about a 1-inch
Yeah, okay,
diameter,
good.
6-inch long, bit of root with plastic
Yeah.
sleeve.
I mean, short pine is actually a tiny little tree, it doesn't get very big. Doug fir is
Those,
different.
let's see, it looks like those come in, Doug firs are 120 per batch per box. And looks like both of them are 120 per box, so that's the volume we would be purchasing.
We're talking about obtaining trees that we could be part of a giveaway program that we might have in conjunction with Arbor Day.
We give them to those lots that are really sparse.
You got nice plant.
Gorilla tree planting.
I wonder how many trees we want to get all together and if we want a mix of trees.
Mark, I think our guest wanted to.
I was just wondering if you guys have
Oh.
ever considered working through the elementary schools. They have science fairs.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great way to indoctrinate children at a young age and not necessarily getting all the children trees, but giving them the opportunity to take them home.
Yeah.
And if they have a little lesson in school, then they share that with their parents and it's a way to, get the information out there. It's one of the few places where there is community meeting left in our contemporary society. And I think it could be helpful.
That's a great idea. I feel like you can get more trees planted when kids bring them home to their parents and the parents feel obligated to plant the
I
tree.
mean, will the parent remove it next year? Maybe, but some could survive. And the other thing is you could ask kids to take in seedlings, like in my yard, I get Doug firs and cedars and maples every year. And if kids come in, they trade them, there's an excitement about that as well.
Good thought, because that was out of my mind. So if we got all these trees, what's the vehicle for distributing them? Is it an Arbor Day event or is it something, something like that? Or it could be a school event in conjunction with Arbor Day.
We could certainly look at schools. We've talked, I believe in this group, maybe it was the climate group though, about connecting with schools, and the consensus was no one was connected to any of the schools, so we would need to figure out those connections, and that it had been, it sounded like from my recollection, when folks had reached out to some of the PTA groups in the past, it had been hard to get traction as an external group without any current connections within the PTA to get someone within the school. So
So the best way would be to go through the principals and the teachers themselves instead of the PTA. Because PTA is not meeting that frequently, they're not, which takes expansion. You need some connections, and constant connections.
good to hear.
Yep.
Which sound like you have direct
Larry,
knowledge of this. You have kids that are school aged or?
No, but I've lived here my whole life and my mom's a teacher and I know the teachers that I studied with and principal that's currently there. Don't go about being not go outside.
yeah, clearly you'd have to have some plan and under acceptance on the part of the teachers and the school and.
Yeah.
To show up with a bunch of trees and start passing them out, you know,
Yeah, so we could look at doing something through, we have until April to figure out what we would do with them. We can put in an order now and have them shipped to us whenever we would like them. So if we want to commit to doing something with trees with this tree giveaway, we can move forward on the ordering piece as soon as we are ready and then.
Well,
out
we figure it
details
out.
in in the spring. We had, been talking last time about some options like doing something in the commons with education up there potentially related to the climate hub. We talked about tying in the tree walk was super popular last year, and we wanted to tie in a like, come get a little seedling, get some education and then go on a tree walk together. We could do something like that again. We also discussed, the green fair is generally a couple weeks before, I think it's usually end of March.
yeah, it should be earlier.
And we don't actually have to do our Arbor Day event on Arbor Day, so they're like, we could call it an Arbor Day event and just give away seedlings at the green fair if we want. So
If we have to see things by then.
we can get them anytime.
Oh.
So we can order them now and then tell them when we want them and they will ship them to us whenever between now and April.
What were you gonna say, Larry?
I just wanted to clarify something. So I think previously we were talking about how you had to order a large quantity of trees, and so it would be all of one species. So is it going to be all of one species, or can you get a variety pack?
It is 120 per box and each box is one type. So if we want to get 240 trees, we can get short pines and up first, half each.
And then how much per one?
They are $1.35 per, like, for both of those.
The reason I bring this up is you might want to think about what species, because there might be some people that would be interested in a tree.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily want a tree that's gonna become grow 100 feet tall.
Yeah.
And that's where a mixture of short pine and lodgepole end up for, because short pine doesn't get very big. It depends a little bit on the genotype, but I'm assuming short pine means something squatty, wouldn't you, Dave?
No, I would assume that it's
Could be.
Pinus, contorted, but who knows
Could be.
whether it's east side or.
She said short
coastal
pine
or-
in the email, but then looking at the PDF, I'm only seeing lodgepole.
Well, lodgepole and short pine are two words in the same species.
Okay.
Because it,
But they're different, they're two different varieties that have very different growth form. Short pine
Yeah.
goes out on the coast and they tend to be short and not erect. And then the east side of the Cascades and across the mountains, across the Rockies, you get these tall slender ones like. See it.
That are used for things like lodgepoles.
for a very big, can be for a very big lodge, so you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're the same genus, I guess they're different varieties.
Same species. They're different.
Same species,
There's
sorry.
also a variety down in the Sierra Nevada that gets to be a really big tree.
Yeah.
Which
Were there any
If-
deciduous trees on that list?
I don't believe so.
there were a variety of things on the list, but they only had a few things still available, so I.
So this is
Yeah.
what's currently available.
Oh, okay.
Which I can forward to them for it.
Yeah, I think ponderosa would not be suitable.
No.
Western white pine might be nice. Grand
And
fir is a
Aren't
possibility.
the western white pine gonna get hit by a blister rust though?
for the kind of most manageable seedling plugs, those were the two that they recommended, were the lodgepole and the duck fir that are the CRL.
No, that's full nice on the drier side.
One thing to keep in mind is, I can't
Sure.
remember who it was, it may have been you who mentioned, the last time we did a seedling giveaway, planted like a dozen of them and like 2 survived. So there is some amount of, everyone may not want a bunch of these, but the chances that every one of these are surviving is very low.
No,
But to no fairness,
But if you
I
get at
planted
least-
them out in an
Yeah.
area that was remote from my house so that I wasn't going out watering.
Yes,
If people plant one of these in their yard and
and
they
actually tend to
they
it,
tend it and give it water during the first couple of years,
Yeah.
they'll probably have high survival rate.
And what is the viability of the plugs themselves? How long do you want to have those before you distribute them?
You
and
should
plant
get
them?
them in the ground within a few months, and if you don't do it right away, you should get it into a larger pot,
Mhm,
right? So
mhm.
don't just hang on to the little plug and the tiny amount of dirt that it has.
well, but we can't put 120 trees in big pots for
No.
revenue, so.
No, that's right.
so we
So
would get
what-
them, they would ship them to us as plugs. They'll keep them in their cooler until we're ready for them, and then they'll ship it to us. And then, one of the things we would need to determine is our event just giving them away? Or is our event, are we going to buy more supplies and get little pots and soil and stuff and have a little like planting event?
I think I prepared a little written thing to go with each of the trees we gave out, that told them how to care for it, how to plant
Yeah.
it, so on. Good job.
So what we need to do, I guess, is put in a reservation so on them.
Get them just shortly before we have the event.
Don't put in a reservation now, and then once we have an event scheduled,
Mhm.
Yeah.
get the trees
The
shortly before.
decision we need now or soon is what do we want and how many do we want? And then I'm happy to put in an order and figure out how do we give them away to people there.
And then I'm assuming we can get funds through the tree fund?
Well, we need to research funding, so I guess
Sounds like it would be, if we got 2, it'd be through about around $300.
Ish.
it sounds something like that, yeah.
That's what the free fund is for.
Yeah, it certainly seems like that would be a good use of tree fund funds.
There should be money in the free fund from the high downhill from me to top to the tree.
Well, why don't I take on the
Okay, so I'll
task
do
of
that.
finding out and be sure that we've got that's a purchase that would be approved.
But barring that, I, Victoria, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, good.
What better thing to do?
120 of each of them, or so. But I'm not quite sure what P+1 means, but 1+1 means 1 year in a seedling bed and then 1 year planted out into an area where there's a little more room to grow. It's just seedling code, well, you know what I'm saying, isn't that right?
Hmm.
When you say, well, 1+1 seedling, it's 1 year in a seedling bed, and then when you're out planted to somewhere where it has a little more room to grow.
Not actually sure on this.
Okay, so.
They have a whole cheat sheet. I read it many months ago. I do not remember the specifics of it, but they do have explanations of what each of them mean.
Good.
Yes.
I was curious, Sam, if you've had any thoughts on species choice for a giveaway?
So a lot of people don't like extremely large trees. Douglas firs, any type of pines, western red cedars. I know that's what we want planted within these, our city. But realistically,
When we were testing the election.
Still a dollar or something.
yeah, realistically, people want smaller or deciduous trees. We were just having a conversation about this on Monday, where it's hard to get people to come and take these larger trees and plant them. So
Yeah.
it's difficult when you're buying in like more bulkier sizes and bulkier trees we want. But in availability, so that makes it even tougher. But we have to look at.
Yeah, and it's part of the issue of passing them out, if you're not going to the right location. The right tree in the right location, that, somebody feels forced to plant this Douglas fir that.
Yeah.
And they really don't have a site for it.
It's good to provide some type of document that's stating how to plant them, where to plant them, right tree, right place. And go from there, but species wise. Douglas firs are great, I think everyone, if you live here, assuming you love Douglas firs. Big leaf maples, vine maples, all native, vine maples are just a lot smaller. And they don't really provide much canopy coverage, but. Still considered a tree, so.
Is this our only source,
Hey,
the DNR?
Yeah,
Sure, go ahead.
so have you guys ever like gone, like sent a mailer out saying, we'd like to collect plants from people, because I know at the. Like, I guess the water department, they sometimes have plants that they leave out there, and those are donated. You could say sometime in April, we're gonna come together and we're gonna give out trade plants, the elementary school. You might not just get a bunch of plants for free, but it will be reflective of what people value and already have in their yard. So if it turns out there are a bunch of vine maples, people like those, if there are a bunch of Doug fir, people might like those. You could also get things like red cedars or yellow cedars or hemlocks that might not be able to order, have a diversity. We would have like a longer term engagement instead of just being that day, people think, oh, like a couple days in advance, I need to get my tree ready to bring to the town center.
Most of our yards have seedlings, trees that are starting to grow. That's true. I don't know what the logistics would be of coordinating that, collecting them and doing it.
Recommend we don't reinvent the wheel and instead we partner with Alan and advertise what he's doing already.
Also, I'm looking at City of Shoreline, they did a tree giveaway back in August. And they gave people a choice of 6 species. And so it's a ginkgo biloba, cascara, Italian plum, Vanessa Persian ironwood, vine maple, and western serviceberry. And it looks like the tallest of those is only grows to 50 feet. So they were aiming for a smaller, like street tree size.
They got them somewhere else then besides.
Oh, I'm sure.
And speaking of anecdotally, you know, for my HOA, I could see us wanting to plant a few trees. I don't think we would want a Douglas firs because there's so many townhomes and a giant tree is gonna start leaning into someone's roof.
Yeah, that's
So-
the wrong tree in the wrong place.
So we would not be thrilled if the only options were giant trees.
It'd really be nice to know if the short pines are big or little. I don't know how we would find out, but. A true short pine from the coast here, it gets what, 20 feet tall maybe? Yeah, it's fine almost anywhere. Niche. Lodgepole pine is not, it's better than Doug fir. Yeah, yeah. Well, unless you get.
I'm thinking that this should be on our agenda for our December meeting. And I'm wondering, what do we need to have then that we don't have now that would help us move this along? If we can get any more information about the type of short pine we're talking about.
You know, they would probably know what its, source is. Yeah. Larry's point about the variety of different smaller trees for homeowners' yards is fine, but there's no place that I'm aware of where you get
Shoreline.
small quantities. Small size.
I found the Shoreline page about this and can reach out. They have 2 folks listed as contacts. So I'm happy to reach out and see where they source their trees from.
Yeah, that would be good.
It's also a delightful pun. Their program is called Communitree.
That's very good.
Nice.
Delightful, delightful's a strong word.
The city of Seattle has a tree giveaway too, though. I think I sent a link out to maybe just to Victoria. Mark,
I think I saw it, yeah.
a week ago or so. Similar sort of thing. They have a whole list of trees that people could select from, although as of right now, it's down by 2 trees.
Okay, so you think it's possible that one of you guys could pursue that question of what any more specifics about the short pine?
If
I'll
there's
direct
the
them to-
contact
Yeah.
information, it would be easy.
I'll ask it.
Ask.
Okay. All right, well, that would be good. So that would be good to know. What else would we want to know before we can finalize a plan for the tree distribution program? Probably good to know when exactly the green fair is gonna be.
If we want to align with that.
Yeah, that's an option.
We contact a lot of people. I think they're happy to do a good thing. Right. It's still early enough in the spring typically that you could plant trees.
Realistically, yeah.
You don't want to wait too close to the summer to be planting the woody plants.
Yeah, yeah. I'm wondering if it's feasible to explore the school option, the school idea. Like to just have a contact with a principal and see what it would take to do a program like that at Brookside or Lake Forest Park Elementary.
What would that entail other than just showing up with a bunch of trees? What would we offer?
Yes, yes. Well, that'd be good. First of all, would the school be interested in that and what do they think it should look like?
A number of years ago now. Some of the local school districts used to have STEM days. The science, technology, engineering, math. And they would invite people to come in and they would have, but. And I went to 2 or 3 of these, my grandson was in elementary school. And connecting with something like that would be a time. Place to do that, because parents come through and. I have no idea how you do it today, but. Not like Terrace where I would do it, since he was a student.
I did the same kind of thing with my kids, not my grandkids, but.
Yeah.
And for something like that, you know, if somebody just wanted to go into a class and talk about a class of, you know, it's like 3rd, 4th graders to talk about trees. And give each kid one to take home. That might be, you know, maybe a third of them get in the ground, but you know. Probably as good a deal as anything.
Yeah, yeah. No, that'd be nice, rather than just passing out a tree, you get some plant for education about trees. Okay, so I'm willing to make a contact with Brookside, talk to them about how would that look in their school, if we want to do that, and maybe it would be a single classroom, or maybe it'd be something school-wide.
I can't remember if it was elementary or middle school, and I did it. It's not high school.
Yeah, no, they're too cynical by then.
So another data point, the city of Kenmore did a giveaway back in 2022. And they offered people a choice of 20 different species. Which ranged from small, like serviceberry trees, all the way up to big leaf maple and Douglas fir. So I do think it's whatever we decide on, it's gonna be important that people have a variety to choose from.
And then if we do something like that, it's not gonna be at the Green Fair or at a single event where we have
Right,
trees to hand out.
Right,
That would have to be a situation where we have a site where we can maintain the trees while.
And
they're
I would also note that
waiting.
both Shoreline and Kenmore do their pickups in fall, August, September, October time. If that's a better time for tree planting, that would also give you a much longer runway to plan out all these details of where are you ordering from, what's the variety of trees you're gonna choose. So I guess that's a question for the tree board is, do you want to go for a smaller event aiming for the Green Fair in March? Or do you want to aim for a much larger, more varied program come fall?
With a better planning success rate.
well, we need to do something for Arbor
Great
Day.
diversity.
We need to do something for Arbor Day. So that's the question I think you're raising, is this a viable idea for an April timeline? I think it is, but
I would also point out if it's for like at the Tree City USA, there has to be an Arbor Day event.
Mhm.
They, I believe, are pretty flexible that it doesn't actually have to be on Arbor Day. That you could say, we did a fall tree planting giveaway in August.
In
And they would,
honor of Arbor Day.
yes, and they would count that as your Arbor Day celebration.
Does this clarify or? What's that?
Sounds like there's water dripping in the building.
How was that the boom we heard,
Is that normal?
landing on the roof or something?
Is that normal?
That's strange.
I don't think
Is
so.
that normal?
Let's get back on the line.
Be upstairs.
Is it okay?
I don't see anything, but it sounds like it would be above us,
Oh.
so.
I mean, I don't, the tree
Check
board
it out in a second.
doesn't have to decide tonight, but that could be a topic for your December meeting. Is to make that final decision. Are you aiming for an April event or are you aiming for a fall event?
Okay. Well. And that's really just part of the conversation, because if it's a fall event, then what do we want to do for Arbor Day this year?
No, this could count as your Arbor Day. Even if it's in fall, it still counts as
Yeah,
an
yeah,
Arbor Day
yeah.
event.
Well, we could still do something,
So there's something.
like a tree walk or something.
Yeah,
It's,
Are you Victoria, are you able to, could you look into Shoreline and look into Kenmore as well? And just track down maybe what their sources were?
Yeah.
I will, and this is information that might help us clarify what we want to do at our December meeting.
those are gonna be much more expensive trees.
Probably so. How
And
much more would be
the
good
thing
to
is,
know?
how much energy and effort do we want to put into this? And how much money do we want to put into this? Is the goal, like, my original thought was just like, let's just throw some trees out to the road and see what happens, and it gives us a good excuse to talk about trees.
Right, that's what we did last time.
People like free things, whether they're helpful free things or not, it gets them to talk to you, as someone who has professionally given away free things for 12 years. But if we want to make it more in line with, increasing canopy cover, getting diversity in trees, et cetera, like, yes. Other
Yeah.
options will be more attractive to the public.
So no, I keep throwing wrenches in this. Both the Kenmore and Shoreline events were partnerships with KCD.
That's what they funded.
So that can be how they got such a variety, because KCD had access to a huge.
Source,
Yeah.
source.
So that could be something else to think about. That way we're not doing it solo.
Yeah, my figuring in that last one we did where we gave away, we had 200 trees or something like that.
Yeah.
10 of them are alive today. That would still be a benefit, but I know
Exactly,
they're,
net positive here is 200 people thought about trees for at least a few minutes. And we got a half a dozen new trees in the city.
And like you said, there was engagement. That
Yeah.
process.
Well, that would, the last, farmer's market of the year, if we can be any run out of people have, then we might be able to put them in there, and that would be a good time to plant trees.
yeah, that's what we did at the last.
Yeah, that's a good timing for that. I
In the
mean,
fall.
spring is not bad yet, in fall, it's a better time to plant trees. Roots have a chance to get into the ground before it dries out. At least in theory.
So
Well,
I'll ask around with the other folks if folks wanna think about like. How much energy / effort do we wanna put into this? Like I said, I'm a fan
Yeah.
of just like. Spread.
who did you work with at KCD?
out there.
If it was a KCD link, maybe. Well, I think we should think about this and come ready at their December meeting then to finalize a plan
And
here.
I'm not married to that, like if we decide that giving away trees is not a priority and we wanna just do educational stuff. Totally fine too.
Okay. Great. I have on my agenda, Water District event recap. I was not able to attend that, but it sounds like at least Victoria was, or were others able to attend that, or you were there too? Great.
It was really interesting. Our water district staff took us on a tour of their new pump house. And then through their well field. And there's a trail that goes from their well fields up into the community. And it took us up and talked about options they're assessing for getting better trail access so that folks can come access from up on the hill, get down to the town center more easily. There's,
They're interested in promoting that,
they would like to see a workable solution.
because they have
Yes,
been opposed to that in the past.
they are opposed to the parts of the plans that are illegal. They are in favor of a plan that would keep the minimum security distance for their wells.
And on point, and Councilmember Furtani's taking the lead, looking at convening a work for a task force of some city people and some water district people. Coming up with some interlocal agreement about developing a trail through the reservoir area.
Yes.
think
We
that-
only saw a tiny little kind of corner of their property. They have a giant forested hill, many acres that we did not go up into. I'm talking to their staff in the past, they've offered to give the tree board a tour of their space if we ever want it. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot that I did not know about our water. And would love to be able to see more of their property, if folks are ever interested in a longer tour of that space.
And I think taking response to what you said, I don't think they're exactly in favor of it. But they see a lot of pressure to have it and they want to make it happen in a place that they're comfortable with, which, but I fully understand. You don't really want people trucking along and bringing their dogs nesting
And
around.
Alan said he was explicitly said he was in favor of it and wanted
Yeah, I
to be a
don't
wonderful
think he really
solution.
The city opened the lower end of it and made an official trail down at the lower end. Several years ago, and, I think that a lot of people would like to see that continue. Right now, it just goes to them.
Yeah.
And that's,
Mhm.
I've walked it, and it gets really muddy up
Yes.
there, so something would require.
And that's what they were talking
Constructing
about,
a
what it
trail.
would mean for where they would need a bridge and some better trail and actually built out pieces that are more than just like people making the paths through there, so.
The great benefit, well, of course, would be a pretty direct route from Horizon View to the town center.
Yeah. They've also, the water district staff has done pretty significant work. Did you walk up to the green shed with us?
I can't remember.
Up the trail to.
Well, yeah, I walked. up.
Okay, there's a property up at the top where the trails that do go through their property kind of come out into the neighborhood, that they have done significant work pulling back ivy. And making that a nice little kind of community mini park space that is water district property up there.
And there's a
So-
public access trail that drops from that little park down slope.
Yeah.
Into a neighborhood that's full of cul-de-sacs that
Yeah.
comes out on 40th place.
Yeah.
That is nice. I know the people, you drops you out in somebody's driveway.
Yeah.
And it's public right away. And I've met the
But
people.
it is
they're
very
nice,
awkward if you're
but it's
commuting
very
for
awkward.
40th and don't know where you're going. I have walked it from that end.
I know.
Yeah.
It seems very strange, but the people are very nice. They're happy to have people on.
But the path from there down to the main part of the watershed is not for the faint of heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty muddy.
It's a narrow trail and then.
Mhm. Yeah.
And they are working on some updates as well for their property around the creek that runs through. I'm blanking on which creek it is.
McKibben,
McKinnon.
McKinnon.
And looking at, I forget what group they were talking about partnering with. But looking at a potential long-term project to do salmon restoration in the creek, and then why am I blanking on like small hatchery operation that would be near their old pump house. They've got a path that's existing that would make potential space for that. And I forget what organization they said they were partnering with to assess whether they could do any of that there.
Well, I know the stream keepers, they asked the stream keepers to do an insect inventory, which we did. for them. Brian had some of his interns, I think, worked on that with him to do
I'm shocked if that would support salmon spawning that whole stream.
Yeah, I don't think salmon gonna get back up that far if that's
Yeah,
the
they were
goal,
looking
but as a release point.
Doing, a like small hatchery built there and acknowledging that there are a couple culverts that right now they could not get back basically across 40th to get back there likely for spawning. But they, like I said, they were partnering with someone who knows a lot more about salmon than I do. They were assessing whether there was a viable option.
The roundabouts gonna be coming soon though, and it's gonna build at the base. of the
Correct.
kitchen, so that's another
Correct.
source there.
Which I don't think will impact, from my recollection, they will have to be replacing the water main through there with that, but I don't believe the culvert will be replaced. But there is a piece of the creek on private property right there that is not salmon friendly, and is the pinch point they likely would not be able to get back past.
Okay,
So anyway, some interesting things happening on their property, learned a lot. It was interesting to hear what they're working on and thinking about. They have a new forest management plan that I think I sent to all of you after our last meeting. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I forgot to hit send on that email.
I've seen it. I don't know if others have. It's fairly brief.
It's very brief, but is something that we can certainly look
Sure,
at what they're
sure.
working on. And in chatting with their staff, they're looking at their next thing they wanna look at is urban forest fire preparedness and what the water district needs to be doing for urban forest fire preparedness. So some interesting things that may tie into some of what we're talking about with their forest management plan.
There's a community meeting planned for the roundabout in the next couple days.
Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow night.
It's geared towards the people who live in the immediate vicinity of the roundabout.
It'll be held here at City Hall.
Yeah, we have to kind of talk about what the plan is for the roundabout, mitigation, things like
Yeah.
that.
It's open to the public.
Yes, yeah, officially,
It'd
public
be
meeting.
interesting to pursue that point about the impact on McKinnon. Might be an ideal opportunity to improve the way it kind of flows under Ballinger Way there. I don't know. Anyway, okay, well, thank you, Victoria. Doug, thanks for attending that.
Doug, that you took away.
Yeah, I thought I had no idea that even had a well. Well, actually, I heard we had a well field, but I knew nothing about it. And yeah, very nice little patch of forest in the middle of the city.
It is.
And I can understand their concerns about untrammeled right of way because it's drinking water.
Well, yeah. Okay, thank you. We have one more item to look at, and that's, we started talking about the Holly article that Dick has been working on. Shared with us.
I sent it around. I don't have much more
Yeah.
to say about it
Yeah.
other than that. I will send, is it Zoe is who I send that to directly? She, and then it goes out in late November and they want it by, do you have any idea, middle of November or something like that?
Really soon.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and send it to her right away, so it's ready to go.
It wouldn't surprise me if she was hoping it was a little shorter,
You know,
And
it's
I-
right at 500 words, which is what
is what,
I've looked at ones that we have submitted that I've written
Okay,
before, that were
okay.
all plus or minus 500 words.
Okay.
So I'm gonna leave it at that, and
You
if she
think,
wants to edit it down, I'll work with her on it.
do you,
One thing I remember when I read through it the first time, I should have just sent my email to you. You say that the research at St. Edward says that wild holly and Puget Sound urban forest are spreading exponentially. It's kind of a broad statement for one study that wild holly and urban forest.
Yeah, well, in their study, that's their.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't apply, doesn't necessarily apply to all urban forests. It's a little broad to say wild holly and urban forest is doing that. It's just tinkering with the word.
well, if you're focusing on the one particular example that we have of how it,
I'll
Let's
take
take
a
a
look
look
at
at
it,
it, yeah.
but, you know, that's what their data suggests.
what do you think about mentioning a specific? If you can be more specific about the herbicide that's used, there's a lot of, there's a lot of
No, I- I
sensitivity
had-
about
I had that same
herbicides.
reaction.
Yeah,
It's like, can you tell us what?
So the herbicide I use is one that is a plant hormone that causes the roots to proliferate. And then you cut the top off, the roots proliferate and the whole organism.
And I think you describe it as fairly benign.
It's non-toxic and it's you apply it to the cut surface, it's not broadcast onto the vegetation.
Yeah,
So it is absorbed into the vascular tissue and sucked down into the roots.
well, I've got a question is there any, can we be any more specific that would help people find the right herbicide to use rather than go
You
to?
know, I didn't want to
glyphosate.
go into recommending an.
Yeah, any products,
Brand
specific
or product,
product.
because there's more than one. And I think they all tend to use maybe there's a couple of different.
We used the word a minute ago, you used a word in describing it a minute ago that maybe would be helpful.
I'm not sure what I said, but it's
Can we replay that?
it's one that, it's a naturally, simulates a plant enzyme that causes, growth proliferation in the roots. And that's what ultimately kills the underground part of the tree. Rather than putting effort into sending a few shoots,
Mhm.
Is there a trusted source like a website or something that no?
there could be,
Well, where'd you get
but
it?
there'd be commercial websites, right? And what I got at Sky Nursery, and I talked to the people there. Got what I got.
Maybe that's just the answer.
Yeah.
Go talk to your local nursery for the best safest solution.
Would they have would it be at someplace like Home Depot or something like that? Or
Home Depot probably has it.
Yeah, but
Any
they're gonna get-
nursery, any garden center will have it.
What's the name of it?
I would recommend you go to a nursery rather than Home Depot for advice on.
Or for advice, definitely, yeah.
Any
Yeah,
garden
yeah.
center that has things like, fertilizer and other things for your.
Well, anyway, it was just a passing thought I had. There is a lot of sensitivity, obviously, we all have it in terms of the right chemicals being used to control these noxious weeds. Good, well, thank you for doing it,
One minor
Dick.
thought, I like you said, Dick, I like the pictures for identifying. When you sign it, it might be nice to sign it as, it should just include some mention of tree.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That was my thought too,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think all of the essays we published in there have that, saying, Nick Olmsted tree bark, or something like that. It's
Right.
when we initially started doing this, we thought we would try to do it on a quarterly basis or something, have an essay from the tree board in the e-news. And we probably published 4 or 5 of them all together in the
The
last
last
5
one-
years.
The last one we did was one that I wrote on the birch bronze birch beetle infestation, and I think we published that in the Shoreline Area News.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about sending this to them as well,
Yeah. it might be
because it gets a different, slightly different audience.
Larry,
Two related questions. So first, have you gotten confirmation from Zoe what the firm deadline is to give her the
No,
article?
I will write to her tomorrow and
And second, officially, in order for you to say this is from the tree board, it would require a majority vote of the board.
I meant.
But if you say Dick Olmsted, tree board member, that's totally fine. Since you're
but I
right
think it'd be
there.
good to have it endorsed by the team. And if someone wants to. make-
I actually hope that we might have an ongoing title or something,
Yeah,
tree update from the Lake Forest Park Tree Board or something, I don't know,
And
but.
what you could do is you could designate a person to write an article on behalf of the tree board in that sense.
Yeah,
I think in terms of the timing, if our next meeting is Wednesday, December 10th, I think. That's,
December
or say
4th,
December
maybe.
3rd, maybe December,
Third.
but that's likely too late.
Too late, yeah.
So there isn't going to be a tree board meeting to approve a letter. So this one would just be from you as an individual.
we're here right now. Somebody wants to make a motion that this be a tree board official submission.
Little awkward if you're approving it before it's been written.
It's been already written.
Well, it's-
That's- everybody's.
We
Oh, I
we
just-
pretty much.
We have, yeah.
most of us-
Oh, I sent it to you guys just now,
Okay, perfect.
and so it should be in your inbox.
Well,
You don't get to see anything.
I take it back. So
I can send it to you too, man.
Okay, so I take that part back. If there is a version
And I
that is
got
here.
comments
you by all
back
means,
from
you go
Doug
ahead.
and Mark.
Verbal comment. I like the picture.
Yeah, you said it. I do it something.
No, I think that'd be appropriate if we wanted, so. Richard, you're good at formulating these things on the fly like this, so.
I was until you said that.
The motion is to,
I move that the tree board, approve the, Dick's letter about Holly, for publication on the tree board behalf in the upcoming, city newsletter.
and you got it right. He'll figure out the exact wording, but that's on our behalf is our blessing.
I'll second.
All in favor? Yes, any opposed?
I sent it to you, Larry.
I apologize for misunderstanding where we were at.
Any other discussion of that? It's great to have that. It'd be wonderful if we could produce one of these every couple of months, I think.
Yeah, even if it's just quarterly.
There's
once
so
every
many
month.
topics, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
I'd be willing to put some time into that.
There's any number of maladies that we could document in a, short and in an intellectually honest way. Okay, well, is there any other business we need to conduct tonight? I think maybe not. We got well, let's look at our agenda for the next meeting. My notes say we're gonna get, Victoria's gonna work on sharing that contact sheet that we might use when we have initial contact with people who express an interest in the tree board.
It's in your box.
What's that?
It's in your inbox.
Mail it to
That's what you were doing okay. We gotta wrap up our thinking, or at least move our thinking a little further along the line in terms of Arbor Day. And how we want to handle that, and we got couple of specific assignments. I was gonna contact schools, see what the situation is. Victoria was gonna follow up a couple of things. Maybe Elizabeth or Sam, you could ask Corey if she has a date yet for the Green Fair. That'd be good to know if we want to do it in conjunction with that. And I think, did we say if one of you guys can figure out the shore pine,
I'll ask Tiana.
the
about it.
details that we need to decide which one it is, you can do that too?
the seed source is all.
Okay. Well, we got planned, the other ideas, so feel free to think of what else you'd like to see on that agenda. Probably.
Just one thing that we did talk about this, Sam was gonna think about, the community forest management plan. Things for the board, that the board could do that would be productive and not, cause workers to.
Does that make sense, Sam?
Yeah.
Okay, good, thanks for doing that. It doesn't need to be the definitive word, but some things to help us keep thinking about that in a productive way.
Worse.
Okay. Sounds good. Is there any motion to adjourn this meeting?
Move adjourned.
Is there a second? Yes, okay, all in favor, yes, thank you very much. Thank you all,
Yeah,
really.
thanks, everybody.
11 more minutes to spare. Look at our efficiency.
You know, somebody has been saying to me, maybe these meetings could be a little shorter.
Well, it's been